We are counting down the 5 big stories of the week. Coming in at number 4, if you build it, will they come? Apple unveiling its first lineup of 5G iPhones. Pre-orders begin today, but here's the thing. 5G coverage in the U.S. is still spotty. Carriers could say they have a nationwide network, but it's just not as filled in as what they want. So, Guy, would you buy a phone whose main feature is speed when you can't harness that speed?
The rhetorical questions are flying tonight, Mel. You know the answer to that.
The fact that I'm posing it to you, too, is kind of ironic in and of itself, but go ahead.
Speaks volumes. So the CEO of AT&T Communications, Jeff McElfresh, I believe is his name, he on Monday, I think he came out and said, hey, folks, just I want to tamp down some of the 5G expectations here. I don't want to get you guys and gals ahead of your skis. It ain't coming anytime soon, I hate to tell you. Apple can roll this out all they want. I got one of these fancy TVs. Last night I was trying to watch a Dodger game, and it said you can watch this in like 4G or 4 something on this channel. And I hit the yes button, and it went, and it said, your ISP, look at me, doesn't provide this service. So what's the point? You have all this high-end stuff, and it doesn't work. It's like if you have a Ferrari, but you don't know how to drive it, what's the point? That's what I'm talking about here with Apple. Yeah, they made a great phone, but they don't got the juice behind it. Some
will say, BK, it's all about the long run, even though 5G is not entirely here right now.
Yeah, so let's separate from stock price, which I would argue a lot of the hype coming into this phone is already in the stock price. If you're out there as an investor and you think you're just discovering that 5G is going to be a thing, you're not Tenzing Norgay or Edmund Hillary by any means. You're not the first person to walk this ground. So I would say if that's why you're investing in Apple, you probably should get a job at a car wash. That being said, Apple has a lot of potential in the future. If we're talking 2-3 years down the road, 5G is going to be a thing. People are going to upgrade their phones, and people are going to start using more services. So for me, if I'm looking at Apple at these prices, I'm a profit taker going into year end, and then I'd look to build my position over the next year at opportunistic times.
Tim?
The story in Apple and the re-rating in Apple from 18, 19 times a year ago to 31 times forward has been more about services than it's been about hardware. To the extent that 5G is a game changer, listening to Guy talk about the technical problems he has at home while he's trying to turn on his black and white TV that's as deep as it is wide doesn't make me feel as if we're really getting a technology update from the front. I think when you think about Apple, you've got a story here where 5G, okay, limited coverage, but there are a lot of people that will stay on the cutting edge. There are some arguments that 75 to 80 million phones will go through a replacement cycle, but the real argument by analysts is this is an extended 2 to 3 year replacement cycle on an installed base of 600 million phones or more, on top of a services story. So BK was being more of a trader, it sounded like, than an investor, even though I know he is both. And I think that's kind of the story here. They're not going to ring the bell on Apple, and there's plenty of people that are going to hold it through this. I think that there's going to be some difficulty with Apple outperforming on the back of this release. I also think that they pulled forward a lot of holiday sales, and I think that they had back to school and iPads. But wearables, services are the dynamics here that are going to have Apple continue to hold this market cap, and I think it will hold this market cap. I don't think you get a huge opportunity, albeit in the absence of a major market pullback, to get Apple a lot cheaper. I really don't think you do.
That's an interesting dynamic that Tim had mentioned, Guy, and that is all these people spending money on new Macs, new iPads to get ready for the school year, to be prepared to be working from home, et cetera, and how much more money do they have to spend on a fancy new phone that runs on a 5G network that is virtually non-existent here in the United States.
Yeah, but we've learned over the years, and I've learned this doing this show for the last 37 years, that never underestimate the U.S. consumers want to spend. They will always spend, and if there's the new flashy object out there, and they think they need to have it because their buddy has it, their friend has it, they'll buy it. And just to sort of interject quickly, Tim should know that I recently took my Sony XBR, Trinitron XBR, out of the house, and it probably weighed close to 300 pounds. One of the most tedious, cumbersome, awkward things I've ever done, but I managed to get it to the sidewalk in one piece. Thank you.
Yeah, the only question I have for you, Guy, I don't believe you carried that by yourself because it would have taken your entire family and your burly sons. But how do you use your Sony laser disc? And you know, what are you doing with that? I'm worried about you and outdated technology still in your living room.
No, and I appreciate your concern. I was actually able to upgrade to the nano chip microprocessor that is able to use my laser disc right to the new flat screen that I purchased. So thank you for your concern, Tim.
Bravo.
Yeah, so guys, Zune notwithstanding, wrapping this up, I think it's more strategic here right now. You know, you talk about year-end, taxes could go up, capital gains taxes could go up next year. So I think strategically there's an opportunity. If you like Apple, I think you take your profits, pay your capital gains, and then start to get back into it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.